Welcome to TNZ Talk with radio veteran Tony Trupiano and Huffington Post blogger and writer at Liberals Unite, Richard Zombeck, where they do lean left, but always talk straight.
There's something happening here. This land is your land. It takes them to tear the fascists down, down, down.
There is power in our union. You fascists goodbye.
TNZTalk.com is information central for the show, including a place to make a donation, subscribe to the show, listen and get the archives, and to find your favorite player. Check us out now at TNZTalk.com.
Everybody, look what's going down. That sound should be a cash register. Welcome to TNZ Talk. I'm Tony Trupiano. Joining me is Richard Zombeck. And Z, yesterday we did money, right?
Yeah, we did.
Well, I sang that anyway. So today I got to find a money song to sing. But the bottom line is we do need some. And so we want to make sure people know how to do that.
Well, Tony.
I got it. I want money, lots and lots of money. All right, go ahead, Z.
What's the other one? I want to be a billionaire, so in bad. See, I bleeped myself.
Yes, you did. Beep.
So, to support us, to all our listeners, fans, and even if you hate us, go to tnztalk.com. Click on support, and from there you can go to our Patreon page and find out how to support us. The support page also has a myriad of ways that you can support us, either financially or through iTunes ratings. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on Google Play, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. You can find out all about that at tnztalk.com.
Very good.
And that's T as in Trupiano and Z as in Zombeck.
There you go. Well, you say that, but never mind. I don't want to get into that conversation.
I know. Every time I say Patreon, I remember Al Franken. Is it not Al Franken? Al Sharpton. You know how badly he read the teleprompter?
Yes, I do. He still does Sunday mornings.
He was on one day talking about Boston, and he goes, and the New England Patriots.
Yes, I remember that. I absolutely remember that. So I got a couple of messages yesterday after we posted the show. And these are liberal people that, and one guy's a faithful listener to the show, so he's going to hear this. But 3 people were offended because not that we talked about Melania Trump's pussy outfit from Gucci, that we kind of made it the central theme of our marketing for yesterday's podcast. So we were talking about that right before the show. Oh, and by the way, Z, I don't have a problem with it.
Oh, I was going to ask if you had a problem with it.
I don't.
I mean, the thing is that, I understand if people have a problem with the word pussy. I do. But Gucci named the shirt that Melania was wearing Pussy Bow Silk Crepe de Chine shirt. So if you have an issue with the name of the shirt, you need Gucci to take it up. It's $1,100. You don't have to buy it, but you need to take it up with Gucci.
Now, there is a product protest that we could actually win. Because nobody's going to be able to afford the pussy blouse or outfit or whatever the hell it was.
Bow.
A bow. Just the bow. Just the bow was the pussy?
No, it was the entire shirt. It's called the Gucci Pussy Bow Silk Crepe de Chine shirt, and it retails for $1,100.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, we'll move on from that.
It actually says it's one of Gucci's signature silhouettes, new for pre-fall. This fuchsia style is cut from silk crepe de chine for a languid drape. We think it's a chic way to elevate office or weekend looks. Yeah, I don't know who's going to the office in an $1,100 shirt, but okay.
Well, I know I'm not.
Yeah.
And my office is in my home, so it really wouldn't make any sense for me to wear an $1,100 outfit in my office.
Right, and actually, we have, if you support the show, if you give a certain amount,
$2,500.
If you give a certain amount per month, we will actually have you on the show once a month to talk about whatever you want. So if you're prone to texting us or leaving us messages about our marketing skills or how we're marketing the show or what we're saying on the show, support us, and you can come on once a month and complain to us directly.
Absolutely, and as I said yesterday, if anybody donates $2,500, we'll buy you a Pussy Bill outfit. We haven't done this in a while, so let me do this now. We have a phone number, and this phone number is a place where you can leave a message. It's not on air. It's not live. And if you leave a message, unless it's a message for one of us, and you want to comment on something, we will play it on air. It's 559-898-2551. That's 559-898-2551, or TZ Talk and the number 1. TZ Talk and the number 1. All right, let's get on with the business of the day. And, really, what is the business of the day? We have Hillary exploding and Donald Trump imploding. Now, this was before the debate, but the recent polling shows Hillary Clinton up by 11 points.
Yeah.
Did I hold? I thought maybe I held you speechless with that.
No. So what do we have? We have Trump is dead. Long live the Trump.
Ding dong.
Even Republican pundits are going on. I mean, except for the morons. Republican pundits are going on and basically saying this election's over. It's done.
Not Bill O'Reilly.
Nope.
All right, so here's the deal. And we're going to get into the Paul Ryan part of this in just a minute. But let's just play the audio about Clinton being up, and then we'll talk about it after we listen to this.
Okay.
With just 4 weeks until Election Day, new poll numbers show Donald Trump needing to make up ground after the revelation of graphic 2005 comments on Friday. The NBC News Wall Street Journal poll taken over the weekend shows Hillary Clinton in the lead among likely voters by 11 points, 46% to 35%. This in a four-way race, with Gary Johnson at 9%, Jill Stein at 2%. In a two-way race, the gap is even larger. Clinton ahead by 14 points, 52% to 38%. That is a 7-point swing in her direction. Among Clinton voters, 49% say they are more motivated by support for Clinton, 44% against Trump, while 52% of Trump voters are motivated by opposition to Clinton and 37% by support for Trump. Now, this as a High Point University poll in North Carolina taken before Trump's comments were revealed showed a tied race in the battleground state, Clinton at 43%, Trump at 42%. Meanwhile, a troubling poll for congressional Republicans as 49% of likely voters nationally say they want Democrats in control of Congress. 42% prefer Republicans. That 7-point margin is the Democrats' largest advantage since the government shut down back in October 2013.
Now, that's really what I wanted to focus on, was that number 49 to 42%. And the last time the disparity was that large was during Ted Cruz's government shutdown. What does this mean? Now, let me just share something with you. And maybe you remember this, see. I did the Ed Schultz television show one night, and I said that the Democrats had a chance to take back the House, and he chastised me for that. He did. He said I was being Pollyanna-ish, and overly optimistic. Ed? Listen, the reality, and I don't live in an alternative reality like Donald Trump does. It'll be next to impossible to take the House back. But it is becoming a lot more likely as we see Donald Trump continue to act like a freaking I'm sorry. Well, that's what he's doing. See, with that said, this was before the debate, all right? And I don't know if that matters, but it was after the video was released of what Donald Trump said to Billy Bush. By the way, when I did my radio show this morning with Angie Austin on Daybreak USA, she shared with me a story on air that Billy Bush was found crying after he was released by NBC. So I said, well, I thought he was just suspended, and they have now fired him.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, so the network fires the guy that was listening and agreeing with Donald Trump, but the GOP were all in with Trump.
Yeah. All right, so here's the deal.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
And let's keep in mind that after, and I don't know if you knew this, but after the last debate, the town hall debate, Google got a spike in people looking up Lepo.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that.
Lepo, because people wanted to know what a Lepo was.
Including Gary Johnson. I'm sure
including Gary Johnson.
Well.
So that said...
Turn your phone off.
That said... yeah. I know.
That said...
I know. You got me. You got me. It's been a full year. We've been on the air together for what, 15 months?
Easily.
And that's the first time that's happened on my end.
You're right. Lepo.
Yes. So, bearing in mind that people looked up Lepo, do you think that to the majority of the people in this country, Donald Trump represents the Republican Party?
He does.
Okay.
He has to.
Okay.
He's the nominee.
Okay. Do you think according to the Republican Party, Donald Trump represents the Republican Party?
Reince Priebus made that clear yesterday. He made it very clear yesterday. Now, Paul Ryan didn't make that very clear yesterday.
Right.
In fact, he made something else very clear yesterday. And Donald Trump has gone on to act like a sniveling idiot.
Yeah.
And go ahead, and I'm going to get up the tweets that he sent out yesterday.
Well, if they, I mean, can they? If they can survive this, how do they survive this?
What would they survive?
Well,
and what is there to survive?
Donald Trump being the face of the Republican Party.
It's over. They're not going to survive that. That's why Paul Ryan has made it very clear that people should move on.
Was that your phone?
No, that was audio from the Hill. I turned it off. So let me just read some of these Donald Trump tweets. Now, we got to put this in context. Yesterday, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, did a conference call with joint members of Congress, Senate and the House, just Republicans. And the message he delivered was he was no longer going to defend Donald Trump. And he told people to do what their conscience tells them to do, but he was going to focus on the down ballot races to make sure that they maintain control of the House. I think that they've conceded the Senate at this point. I could be wrong, but I think they have conceded the Senate at this point, that it'll go back to the Dems. But there's a real chance now that the Democrats can pick up the House. So after Paul Ryan, as you know, Z, made his announcement, those on the far right in Congress tore him a new one. But Donald Trump did this. Despite winning the second debate in a landslide, every poll, it is hard to do well when Paul Ryan and others give zero support. He followed that up, let's see, 45 minutes later with, our very weak and ineffective leader, Paul Ryan, had a bad conference call where his members went wild at his disloyalty. 55 minutes later, it's so nice that the shackles have been taken off me so I can now fight for America the way I want to. 15 minutes later, with the exception of cheating Bernie out of the nom, the Dems have always proven to be far more loyal to each other than the Republicans.
He said some pretty nice things about Clinton the other night, too.
Yeah, well, he called her
a fighter,
a strong fighter, and she doesn't quit. So here you go. Now, we know that he's not a Republican, and I don't believe that he's a Democrat. What I think he is a dictator. Everything's about him. I mean, he's a classic narcissist. He exhibits all the narcissistic behavior. I know that, psychologists and psychiatrists aren't allowed to diagnose him without actually seeing him in their offices. But I'm not one. I don't pretend to be one, and I don't play one on the radio. My observation, and it's just my opinion, and we'll get yours, is this man is mentally ill. And I mean mentally ill. I don't even know that he could benefit from medication at this point.
Yeah, I have a hard time going down that road for some reason.
I don't know why, but go ahead. I would like to hear what you have to say.
Because I do wonder that. I just think that it's a pretty serious charge.
Agreed. I don't say that lightly, my friend.
Yeah.
I truly don't say that lightly. I am very, very concerned about his mental stability. And, the word that Hillary and, the Democrats use is temperament, right? And I think that that's just a really polite way of saying mentally ill. Now, if I were a surrogate for the campaign and I was on whatever channel would have me, how I would position it is, I am very concerned about Donald Trump's behavior. And although there's been a great deal discussed about his temperament, I am more concerned about his mental stability. Because somebody that is that angry has issues that need to be worked out. If they're daddy issues, I don't know. Are they mommy issues? I don't know. I just know that the way that Donald Trump has been used to getting his way is buying it. And we've got an entire catalog of things to prove that. And so I'm concerned about his mental stability. I'm not calling him a cokehead. By the way, I don't know if you saw Carrie Fisher, who was a cokehead for years.
I did.
Tweeted that, in her experience, this dude's got a problem.
Well, and Howard Dean's kind of hitting it there, too.
No question about it. Well, I don't know that he's done it after. Did he do it after the second debate or just the first one?
He continued to go.
Even after the second debate?
I think so.
Okay, I just hadn't
I
heard
think
that,
so.
but...
I could be wrong.
Governor Dean. I've met him, by the way. Nice man.
I've got a clip of Carol Costello talking to Dana Bash about the Republican Civil War. If we want to listen to that.
Oh, we do.
Okay. Well, let's listen to that. This actually came on the heels of your ex-girlfriend there, Katrina Pearson, was on was on CNN with Carol Costello, and Carol Costello basically shut down the whole discussion because this is what Katrina Pearson said, I find it quite rich that we have Democrats and the left talking about rape culture when they're the ones backed fully by Hollywood. This rape culture is purported by none other than the entertainment industry, none other than hip-hop music, which you can hear on local radio. I have no idea what that meant, but I read it anyway.
All right, and so let me share with you that Donald Trump shows up in Pennsylvania yesterday, and the first thing he says is, a shout out to his friend Ben Roethlisberger, who is the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The problem with that, and he basically said that he's endorsed him. The problem with that, Z, is Ben Roethlisberger has been sued twice for sexual assault and twice for rape. Been actually charged with rape. So, yeah, that's the kind of guy you want to mention. The first words out of your mouth in Pittsburgh. I'm sure that it made a huge difference to the electorate. Anyway.
I find what I find, I mean, the reason I laugh is because you get really indignant about some of this stuff. And I know for a fact that you're not feigning shock just to be dramatic, and that it actually does piss you off. And while I find everything that he said and done reprehensible, I find the situation to be unbelievably laughable, and that's why you'll hear me laugh every once in a while, because I'm in disbelief, and when I'm in disbelief, particularly about stupidity and utter stupidity and weird, disgusting things, I can't help but laugh, because I go, really? I mean, are we really that effed up in this country that this is where we're at? That this guy that we haven't just hidden him away somewhere by now? I mean, this is
what? Let's come back to that. I want you to play that audio first, though. I want to come back to that because the theory is true, but I frickin' hate it. But there's a theory out there, and it'll make sense immediately to you because you've been saying it for 15, 16 months now.
Well, why don't we talk about that?
Well, I want to hear this audio.
Okay.
All right.
Here's the audio then, Tonester.
Can't even hear
I
you.
want to talk to Dana Bash now. Dana, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, that conversation was going nowhere, so I'm going to talk to you about the Republican Civil War, because I do think that this is important. I mean, really, all of America should be concerned about what's happening within the Republican Party right now, because it's important that we have two strong political parties in this country. And again, there's this civil war going on, something that Donald Trump said he was going to fix, that he could unify his party. But it's quite clear this morning that he can't do that.
And let's just be specific about what's going on, Carol. In the past 10 minutes, Donald Trump has sent his at least second tweet of the day, specifically going after Paul Ryan, the Republican Speaker of the House. This is the first one. It said, despite winning the second debate in a landslide every poll, which these were online polls. I feel the need to say this every time it's up there. They were online surveys, and they were certainly not scientific. Put that aside. Then he said, it is hard to do well when Paul Ryan and others give zero support. Now let's go to the most recent tweet, which is a lot more pointed. Our very weak and ineffective leader, Paul Ryan, had a bad conference call where his members went wild at his disloyalty. Carol, we are 4 weeks from Election Day. What is the Republican nominee doing right now? He is sending out tweets that you can see he's getting angrier and angrier, probably as he's watching us, even though he says he doesn't, report on the fact that Paul Ryan is effectively concluded that he doesn't think Donald Trump can win. And that's why he's told his rank and file that they should do what they have to do for their own political viability, and also for their own moral consciousness. So that's sort of one aspect of this remarkable development this morning. The other is, again, I just want to underscore, the Republican nominee is going after his fellow Republican 4 weeks before the election. That is his reaction on Twitter to this whole weekend, all the uproar, and so forth, that it's kind of harkens back to what happened after the first debate, where he took to Twitter and went after Miss Universe. Very different circumstances, but it shows that sort of his impulse when he gets angry and upset, and clearly he is, understandably, because Paul Ryan and his fellow House leaders have concluded effectively that he can't win. They need to protect themselves. It's all about self-preservation. So he's lashing out. But it's not just that, Carol. This is an important point also. He's also, in that first tweet, if we can put it back up, despite winning the second debate in a landslide, he said it's hard to do when Paul Ryan and others give you zero support. Remember, the reason Paul Ryan kind of let his people go and said he's not going to defend Trump anymore is because they're worried about Trump's spiral because of Trump's actions. What you see there is Trump trying to lay the groundwork for him blaming Paul Ryan for abandoning him if he loses and loses big. So this is stunning on all of those levels, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. As I was waiting for you to come to me, I was texting with an aide to Paul Ryan saying, do you have any reaction? The answer was no, they're just not going to engage with him because that will just keep this going.
All right, Dana Bash, thanks so much. And my thanks to Angela Rye and to...
And he kept it going anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, now, here's the deal. And there was a lot of gold in that piece of audio. But here's the deal. A lot of people have asked the question, how the hell is this guy still around? And as much as I hate to deliver the answer, as soon as you hear me say it, you're going to go, you are saying this? It's because Hillary Clinton is that well not liked. If Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or anybody else were the nominee, Trump would be down by 60 points.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a shame. It's a shame. You know, the Washington Post did a piece today and said the revelations of the WikiLeaks story on Hillary Clinton's speeches showed that she was ... reasonable. So here's the question.
Can you explain
Go
that?
ahead. What? That her Goldman Sachs speeches, et cetera, were reasonable. There was nothing in there that was earth-shattering or horribly controversial.
Okay.
All right. But, again, the meme is out there. Crooked Hillary, right? Lyin Ted, Little Marco, whatever he called Jeb Bush. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. And interestingly, as a quick side note, Ben Carson today backed what Paul Ryan did, and Ben Carson is still listed as an advisor to the Trump campaign. So that'll probably end today.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it is because the Republican Party, but more specifically Donald Trump, has villainized Hillary Clinton to the point where people actually believe the crap that he's saying. Now, yesterday when we did the show, I said I was glad Hillary took the time to talk about her 30-plus years of service, what she's done, where she's worked, etc. It didn't make any difference at all. None. She didn't lie. They were all facts. It's all true. Without her, there are 8 million children that wouldn't have health care today. And I can go on and on and on.
You know, you and I had started a conversation earlier today about this. I mean, what I see people in the media, they're being very uncomfortable with this bringing up of Bill Clinton, right? Now, what I heard one person say, about Trump bringing out those women that Bill Clinton had allegedly
sexually harassed
or whatever, was that every woman in America like stood back on her heels with that he would do that, because he wasn't doing it to Bill Clinton, he was doing it to Hillary Clinton. And any woman in this country who's been sexually harassed, who's been cheated on, or is married or in a relationship, is going to look at that as harassment of Hillary Clinton. Right?
Yes.
And then I hear people on the right in particular who are still supporting Trump say that what Trump did is no worse than what Bill Clinton did. But the thing is, and I've got to be very careful here, is do you look at a man's indiscretions and only look at that and judge him from that, or do you look at a man as a whole? Right? I mean, John F. Kennedy was a womanizer.
Absolutely.
And
can we add just one little caveat to that?
Yeah.
I mean, can we put a third choice in there?
Yeah.
Can you be both? Can you admire the work that someone does, but find their behavior at some level reprehensible?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, with Bill Clinton, there's some truth to that, right?
Well, because here's the thing, Tony, is that Bill Clinton's actions, whether that he was accused of, and his actions with Monica Lewinsky and things like that, while reprehensible, don't define the totality of Bill Clinton. But that tape of Donald Trump defines the totality of Donald Trump.
Yeah, but why? I mean, where is the differentiation there? I mean, I agree with you. Please don't take that the wrong way. But I think part of the dialogue is, why is that different? Now, I think it's a pattern of disrespect towards women. I think it's a pattern of beyond just the alpha dog stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is that Donald Trump pretty much disrespects anything on two legs. I mean, male or female, he doesn't really care about anyone. He hasn't done anything good with his life. He has done everything that has been about him.
And let me go back to the discussion I briefly had yesterday on the show about Tony Schwartz, the ghostwriter for Art of the Deal. And he said, when he interviewed with Chuck Todd last week, that Donald Trump doesn't like people. He just doesn't like them. And he has an attention span of no more than 2 or 3 minutes, unless you're talking about him. Now, why would Tony Schwartz say that? Because he experienced it. See, if we look at the people that have been really rabid, I'm not talking about the never Trump people outside of politics that have been rabid about Donald Trump. They all have warned or tried to warn the electorate of what his personality is really like. And it's fallen on deaf ears. And Tony Schwartz is an example. Yesterday, one of the producers of The Apprentice anonymously put out a message that, yes, there is more, and it's far worse than what he did. But, we've been threatened with legal prosecution, if any of us release it and we are caught. Now, Mark Burnett, who owns The Apprentice, said that wasn't true, that he has been supporting Democratic causes and candidates for years. But he obviously has a relationship with Donald Trump, see?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, it just gets weirder and weirder. So, yesterday, or actually late last week, and you and I haven't had a chance to discuss this. Late last week, there was a report that Glenn Beck's The Blaze is going down in blazing fire. They now only have 6 reporters that all work from home. They got rid of their 35,000 square foot office. They're bleeding money like crazy. This article said that Glenn Beck has just become an absolute crazed lunatic. Not that he wasn't already, but it's getting worse. And I could go on and on and on. Yet he gives an interview. And by the way, for those that aren't aware, Vice News is now doing a daily news program on HBO. So if you've got HBO, it's on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I forgot to watch it yesterday, so I'm going to try to remember to watch it tonight. Poor Chris Matthews, but, you got to do what you got to do. But Glenn Beck has actually done something that I think you and I both find pretty freaking shocking.
I'd have to agree. Hey, when is that Vice Daily News?
7:30 p.m. Eastern time on HBO.
On HBO, no kidding. Well, if you can watch Chris Matthews and then get the Vice on demand.
I don't know that I can. I don't know that it's on demand. I have to check that out.
Everything's on demand.
I could always watch Chris Matthews on demand. Well, not on demand, but on their website.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, let's play Glenn Beck's interview that was on the inaugural edition of Vice News. This actually is news.
He was actually also on Lawrence O'Donnell and was very good, by the way. And
you and I had that conversation.
Yeah, we played that audio.
He sounded reasonable
a while ago about, and he was talking about Donald Trump can absolutely not become president. But okay, here's that audio.
All right.
I will tell you that it has crossed my mind.
To vote for Trump?
To vote for Hillary. It has crossed my mind. I think Donald Trump is so unstable, so dangerous, that it has crossed my mind. I can't do it because she's just a horse of a different color. She's just as bad, but
you've never considered voting for Donald Trump?
No.
So it's not a horse of a different color. It's a different horse.
Yeah, they're both bad. I think under Hillary Clinton, the nation most likely can become just run by oligarchs. I think under Donald Trump, he's so unstable, I wouldn't put anything past him. I don't know what our country looks like.
So the Republican Party's in such bad shape that Glenn Beck hasn't come to a conclusion.
No, I'm not going to.
You've considered voting for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
Okay.
I considered it. I'm not going to. I'm going to vote for, I think his name is Darrell Castle. He's Constitutional Party candidate.
Darrell Castle?
Yeah.
He just got Glenn Beck's endorsement.
Yeah.
Castle 2016.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we can have a whole separate conversation about, John McCain's going to vote for Lindsey Graham and he's going to vote for some dude named Castle or whatever.
Yeah.
But it really is about Donald Trump. This isn't, and this is what is kind of just, that frickin' little sliver in my craw. It's not about Hillary Clinton. It's about Donald Trump, yet Hillary Clinton gets penalized for it. And because Donald Trump has done such a masterful job of villainizing her. See, you and I have both had online battles with people that just don't understand that, yes, she was accused of doing something horrible in Benghazi. The Republicans spent millions of dollars, made her testify for 11 hours, and found that she did absolutely nothing wrong.
Which is amazing that she lasted the 11 hours because she apparently has no stamina.
Have any stamina, right. So, dude, with that said, there are still people, and it happened this morning, that bring up Benghazi.
Yeah,
I
have people that bring up
4 people died.
Yeah, I have people that bring up. I had one last night that brought up that the donations from foreign countries, and you do a quick search on donations from foreign countries, and you're going back to 1997 with Saudi Arabia, for the Clinton Library. And she was no part of the Clinton whatever. It's just their facts are wrong, and the problem is that most people that even moderately watch what's going on with politics is things have gotten so complicated that they walk away with sound bites, and they can't extrapolate things in a nuanced way, and it has to be black and white. And there can't be any explanation. And when you try to explain them to something, they tell you that it's the liberal media. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that, and this is according to the Washington Post, if the election were held today, I mean, the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump's path to 270 electoral votes is so narrow that you can't even see it anymore. If the election were held today, Clinton would win with 341 electoral votes, and Donald Trump would get 197. And that's if and we're 30 days away or thereabouts from the actual election.
28 days from today. Nate Silver with the infamous 538 blog, who is right 99% of the time. You got Michigan wrong between Hillary and Bernie, but it was close, has given Hillary Clinton an 83.6%, as of this morning, an 83.6% chance of winning the presidency. All right, so people go, oh, of course. No, you don't understand. No one in the history of politics, and they've been doing odds making on this crap for years and decades, no one has ever had an 83% chance of winning the White House. No one. Not even St. Ronnie.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so, you're right. It is pretty amazing. So let's get a little more audio in, and then I have a non-political, well, it's kind of political, but a non-election story that I want to get to.
Yeah, I have something I'd like to discuss also. So,
okay, very good. Yeah, it's just I'm just shaking my head. Okay, Khizr Khan, of course, has now become fairly famous because of Donald Trump. Again, Donald Trump just kept his hands in his pockets instead of on a phone on Twitter attacking the Khan family. This never would have happened. But on top of that, during Sunday's debate, Donald Trump said that Captain Khan, who was killed in Iraq, would still be alive if he were president. Well, Khizr Khan was on with Lawrence O'Donnell last night, and beyond that, one of Captain Khan's battery mates was also on. So I grabbed a little bit of that audio. Let's listen to that, see.
Captain Khan is an American hero. And if I were president at that time, he would be alive today. Because unlike her, who voted for the war without knowing what she was doing, I would not have had our people in Iraq. Iraq was a disaster. So he would have been alive today.
Joining us now for an exclusive interview, Khizr Khan, whose son, Army Captain Humayun Khan, was killed in Iraq in 2004. Also joining us, Joshua Manning, a former Army Staff Sergeant who served with Captain Khan in Iraq and was there the day Captain Khan was killed. Mr. Khan, I wanted to get your reaction to what Donald Trump said last night.
Lawrence, thank you. But before I say anything, I want to salute bravery of Josh Manning and young men and women that have served this country and have given their life and have sacrificed their life in defense of this country. The comments from Donald Trump were so disingenuous, like before. He continues to use sacrifices of our young men and women for political expediency, and I reject it. And rest of the veterans and the people that serve this country reject this political expediency.
And Josh Manning, I just wanted to read a tweet that actually brought you to our attention last night. You said, Muslim soldiers like Captain Khan gave their lives to save me, a Jew. That is America. We are not at war with Islam. Josh, what was your reaction when you heard Donald Trump say that last night?
Well, Lawrence, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here. And so I would say when he first said it, I didn't quite hear it. So there was so much going on, and he was saying so much nonsense that I kind of got overwhelmed by it. And I thought to myself, did he just make a comment that I thought he made? And it turned out he did. And I was furious when I heard it. I mean, that's just the most callous thing you can say to us who served, and especially to Mr. Khan, to say that, you know, if it would have been him, his son would be alive. That's just an awful thing to say.
All right. Now, you know, we can break that down. I think I'll just let that stand on its own. But really it goes to the character of Donald Trump, don't you think?
Well, yeah. I mean,
and his lack of understanding of the way war works.
Well, I mean, but that's, yeah, I mean, that's been clear since the beginning, you know, when he says, I'm going to bomb the, you know, out of them. It kind of goes without saying. I mean, you know, we're stuck. We're stuck with him, and we're stuck with the morons that are willing to see him become president. I mean, it doesn't.
Let's talk about those morons a moment. And you're seeing the same stuff I'm seeing, right? And you're seeing the Women for Trump now coming out and, you know, saying, and in fact, I saw a woman yesterday on CNN or MSNBC say, that's a woman now. I've said worse things than what Donald Trump said. And again, what they don't get, it's not about what he said. It's about what he said he did.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm with you, right? But the thing is that, you know, I mean, we talk about we talk about the Republicans that are jumping ship, the Republicans that have denounced him. Glenn Beck is going to vote for Hillary Clinton. The reaction to that from Trump supporters is, well, someone must have gotten to them, right? That's the reaction. Not that they're reasonable, intelligent people that should be listened to. It's someone got to them. It's the media. Glenn Beck didn't actually say that. Glenn Beck is being threatened. I mean, that's the argument. And
well, Donald Trump with Paul Ryan. I mean, this is exactly how it happens. It starts at the top. Did I lose you?
I'm here. I'm
Well, you've got a piece of audio I think we should share. A Kansas Trump supporter. And I'll let you set this up.
Yeah, she was on with Brooke Baldwin. And, God, if she represents Trump supporters all over the country, we're in trouble. I had to cut it because it was like 4 or 5 minutes long. But I think I got the good parts, Tony.
Well, let's go for it.
And that's the thing. It's all about what God can do. God can do this. God can use this man.
But Vicky, you're suggesting that we should talk about the issues. We should talk about the substance. I would argue that sexism and sexual assault are a part of the issues that our country must grapple with. And
absolutely,
the
they
things
are. Absolutely, just like human trafficking. Just like human trafficking.
Right, but you know, the things that we
it's all a part of it.
From this adult man who is running to be president of the United States, millions of children heard that, boys and girls. And boys may take their cues from this guy who wants to be our president and behave in accordance with...
Okay, but here's the thing. When Bill Clinton was president, my children came home from school and they had no idea it was actually called the Oval Office. They thought it was called the Oral Office because of the talk in the elementary schools.
Okay,
Bill Clinton educated my children at a much younger age than I wanted to.
But Vicky, Bill Clinton isn't running for president right now.
Exactly.
We're talking about Hillary Clinton.
No, but his wife is. His wife is. And they are a pair. The two are one.
No, I disagree.
They are the same.
I disagree.
They're totally the same.
Holding a woman accountable for the sexist things that her husband says or does is the very definition of sexism itself. Hillary Clinton hasn't sexually assaulted anyone. Hillary Clinton was not caught on a tape saying these vulgar things about men or about other women, right? So I think that this is a diversion to try to take the attention away from Trump by saying that, well, Bill Clinton does it. Well, that doesn't make it right.
These are the conversations that people are having. This is the 2016 presidential election.
That's true.
This is the 2016. And Vicky, I'm grateful to have you on because, I mean, you represent a chunk of this country who absolutely, has merit and feels this way. I gotta go. Vicky Scalero and Sean Harper, I appreciate the discourse. Welcome to 2016. That's all.
I gotta go.
So, I do want to mention that at one point, Brooke Baldwin actually put her head into her hands during that.
I believe it. It's beyond words. Again, it's beyond words.
Yeah.
So, process that, folks, any way you want. Okay. You and I both wanted to share something, so if you want to go first, I'm okay with that.
Sure. There was a segment on Morning Joe today where they had I can't remember. I wrote it down and I left it downstairs. He was talking about pharmaceuticals, and he was talking about Medicare and the VA's ability to negotiate the price of pharmaceuticals. Medicare is left in a bind because, get this, they are not allowed to negotiate the price of pharmaceuticals. They are hamstrung when it comes to negotiating the price of pharmaceuticals. And this is probably the most powerful organization when it comes to healthcare in the country. It's the it's the federal government.
By the way, my own Senator Debbie Stabenow has been leading the fight against that for years.
It's the federal government, and they're not allowed to negotiate prices because lobbyists put a tremendous amount of money into congressional coffers, particularly Republicans, and the Republicans, year after year, vote to not allow Medicare to have the ability to negotiate the prices of drugs. And here's what happens. There's a company called I want to say Gideon, but I know that's wrong. I'll get back to that. No, it's Gideon. There's a company called Gideon that doesn't produce this particular drug. There's a drug called Harvoni that cures 98% cure rate for people with hepatitis. Veterans have hepatitis. The elderly have hepatitis. Granted, we all think that this is a disease that comes from drug use. A lot of Vietnam vets were susceptible to drug use, heroin among them. But it also affects people who have had transfusions, who have blood disorders, and people contract hepatitis C. And Harvoni is a drug that cures hepatitis C. And a lot of people are being turned away by the insurance companies and said to come back after they've had some damage to report. And what hepatitis C does is it leads to liver cancer, cirrhosis of the liver. It damages other organs as well. And they're told that you need to come back when it's more serious and you actually have some damage to prove. This drug is produced at $1 a pill. It cost $1 to produce this pill. Companies like Gideon are selling it for $1,000 a pill. The treatment itself is $95,000 when it is in conjunction with another Hep C drug. This kind of stuff, these kind of horrendous acts and of greed and of taking advantage of people when they're sick has got to stop. People need to call their congressmen, congresswomen, need to call their representatives and get this to end. Medicare needs to be able to negotiate drug prices. This has gotten completely ridiculous.
And legislation is sitting out there that would do exactly what you're asking people to do. It's sitting there, and Paul Ryan won't let it move. Mitch McConnell won't let it move. And it's sitting there and has been for 6 freaking years, Z.
Yeah.
6 years.
This is a 1,000% markup on a drug that can save lives in this country, and people are dying needlessly because it's too expensive. And it's not too expensive because it needs to have all this research, and it costs $1 a pill. That's what it costs to produce this. $1.
Yeah. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. Anyway. All right, my story. My story has a little audio. And so this has kind of been a campaign issue, but not big enough. And this comes from an organization that you and I actually interviewed somebody from once, and I've had them on my other show when I was doing it quite regularly. It's called LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And they are all retired police officers at all levels of law enforcement that want to see us get rid of our drug laws. And somebody has produced a movie called Incarcerating U.S. And this is the trailer for that movie. And you can go to leap.cc if you'd like to buy a copy. It's $9.99. You can either download it or they'll send you the DVD. But let's play the audio, and then I'll comment on the other side.
When we think of prisons, if we bother to think of them at all, that is, there is a tendency to see them as institutions completely divorced from human society.
We have 25% of the world's prison population and only 5% of the world's population. In other words, we are way over incarcerating compared to any other country in the world.
I find it a bit disturbing that we have more prisoners than China, and they have 1 billion more people than we do.
Billions of dollars have been poured into the prison expansion.
Cabinet-level efforts and Congress creating very powerful new laws.
We are finally beginning to win the war against crime.
Virtually everybody thought the drug war was the number one issue.
Drugs are menacing our society. They're threatening our values and undercutting our institutions. They're killing our children.
It's almost like overnight we had this great idea. Hey, what if we go after the users?
New laws to punish them, new agents to arrest them, new prosecutors to convict them, and new prisons to hold them.
It's very similar to the days of alcohol prohibition, where the government has just declared millions and millions of people to be criminals.
It's a lot watching your children grow up and miss you and wave and say bye, Daddy, as they're walking out of a visit. It's just, it doesn't get easy.
It's just an experience that it is going to make you or break you. Being in the hole is an experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
A very, very large number of people serving decades in prison in America, and basically nobody really cares.
All right, so here's the deal. There are hundreds of thousands of prisoners in this country that are in prison, not jail, and there's a difference. If you don't know what it is, Google it. Are in prison for drug offenses. President Obama, during his 7+ years, has commuted 586 sentences. 97% of them have been for drug offenses. Z, we're out of control.
Well, this is what happens. Yeah, this is what happens when you allow things to be privatized in this country.
Well, in the federal government, President Obama just signed an executive order ordering all prisons to go back into the government system. No more private government prisons, period. But not all prisons are government prisons, so that people understand that. And when something is for profit, there is motivation by the people that run these for-profit prisons to perhaps grease the palms of judges or lawyers. Just a suggestion. But beyond that, I interviewed a guy from Leap not that long ago. And he told me that the reason he quit his job as a police officer was he was tired of going home and saying to himself, I just ruined somebody's life over a half an ounce of weed. I've ruined their life. But you have to arrest him, Z. You have to. You can't let him go. You lose your job.
Yeah.
And he said, I came home one day and looked in the mirror, and I had 3 traffic stops, 3 drug offenses, 3 people under the age of 25 that are going to jail. And I ruined 3 lives. Now, people can say, well, okay, if they were white kids, their mom and dad will buy their way out of it. No, you don't. They can buy their way out of jail, yes. You can't buy your way out of probation. And depending on how much you're caught with, you may not even be able to buy your way out of time. What the hell is wrong with us?
Yeah, well, money.
And the other part of it, and I've had this discussion with a myriad of guests on my show over the years, is that lawmakers want to be seen as tough on crime. So that's why they refuse to vote to eliminate mandatory minimums, which have now become unconstitutional. Or they don't want to legalize, quote-unquote, recreational drugs, because it'll look like they're soft on crime. And their opponents will come after them and say, oh, look at what Representative or Senator so-and-so did. And the reality is that's true. That's exactly what'll happen. People don't pay attention to down-ballot candidacy. People don't read the stuff they get in the mail from candidates. I know this to be a fact. But if somebody's running for sheriff, they're going to brag about their drug arrest record. But what they're actually doing is creating this vacuum where your tax dollars are paying for, in many cases, as you said, a private prison to profit. And they're doing this with public education as well. But that's what they're doing. And people should be outraged, truly outraged by this.
Well, and it's happening everywhere, right? I mean, we're privatizing our parks, and we're privatizing our roads, and we're privatizing our toll booths and our parking meters, and everything. It's being sold. I mean, the governor of Maine, where my mom lives, just sold the public water rights to Nestle.
You know what? Maybe you don't know this, but I do. Can you tell this audience what the governor's wife does for a living? Do you know?
I don't.
She's a waitress.
Oh, that's right.
She's a waitress.
That's right.
She went out and got a job because the governor tried to give himself a massive raise, and the legislature in Maine said no. He's not well liked, by the way.
He is not well liked at all. And by the way, Stephen King is from Maine and hates him.
Well, who wouldn't?
Hates him.
In fact, I'm reading a Stephen King novel right now.
Oh, he's written horrible things about, was it LePage?
LePage, yes.
Yeah. The guy's a pig. He's a pig.
You know, we didn't play the audio, but LePage left a voicemail on one of the lawmakers' phones. Ripping him to shreds. It was very racist. It was over some piece of legislation. And he refused to resign, and he's still there. Anyway, good show today, Z.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all. All right, let's wrap it up. If somebody would love to send us some money, and you could be like the fourth person to do it, how do they do that?
They can go to tandztalk.com and click on support, Tony.
Okay, there you go.
That's all I got. Go to
TNZ
Talk and click on support.
Okay. With that said, I want to thank everybody for listening today. We will certainly be back tomorrow. I'm sure there will be all kinds of Twitterverse stuff. And in fact, I just was looking at my email very quickly while we were listening to that audio, because I'd already heard it. And Donald Trump was tweeting out that John McCain and his foul mouth, because he unendorsed Donald Trump this weekend. So now John McCain has a foul mouth.
Yeah, well, he's also not a hero because he got captured.
Well, but, you know, so the guy that's grabbing genitals is saying somebody else has a foul mouth.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Listen, I'm going to look for a different image for our show. And I think I'll be looking at the LL Bean catalog today.
Gina. Look for something that looks like a gina. Anyway, we'll kind of leave it there with one exception. Michigan has a medical marijuana law, and I subscribe to a couple different medical marijuana associations. About halfway through the show, I was looking at my new email, and all I can see is the subject heading, right? And the subject heading says, "It's Free Doobie Tuesday." I have no idea why, but I don't think you can just show up and grab one, but I thought that was funny.
But I'm sure it put a smile on your face.
It did put a smile on my face. So, folks, if you got it, smoke it. With that, I'm Tony Trupiano, and for Richard Zombeck, we thank you for listening, and as always, we ask that you be well.
Oh, yeah. Can you feel it? Just over the credits, just riffing now. Words and chords. Not the poetry and the real thing, but not bad for an ad-lib. Not good, but... And it's not long enough, so just do a little bit more. And that's nearly done. That's the final credit there. That's the end.